Welcome to the Harley Jay Way. Yeah, the Harley Jay Way. My name is Harley Jay. I'm your host. Let's jump right in. Hey, what's up? How you doing? This is Harley Jay. Welcome back to the Harley Jay Way with a new episode. It's going to be very fun today. And I want to talk about journaling. Now, this doesn't have to be daily journaling. This can just be any type of journaling, really. And we're gonna kind of do a deep dive into this today, and we'll be answering some questions. We're gonna be talking about basically three things: why, how, and when, or why, when, and how, or whatever. However you want to say it, whatever you want to call it. What did I just say there? Sometimes I lose track of myself, and I'm also sick today. But I honestly felt like I wanted to do this today. So if I'm stumbling a little bit, just because I'm sick, but I care about y'all, and yeah, okay, cool. So let's start this off. Why? So basically, you can come across ideas. When you're journaling, you can come across ideas that you just would have never thought of. Because they can just, as you're journaling, just boom, an idea. You write something, you read it back to yourself, and it sparks an idea. Or somehow an idea comes from your journal. There's hundreds of different ways an idea can come from a journal entry. But yeah. It can also help you manage stress. Journaling helps you manage stress. It doesn't have to be daily. Some people say only daily journaling will help you manage stress. No, it's not true. And we'll get into that later. And it will help me manage stress. So if you have thoughts, if you have feelings, instead of going to a therapist, if you can't go to a therapist, you can't talk to someone, you might want to write it down. So the thing is, when you have some emotion inside of you, the best way to not feel it anymore is just letting it out. And you can't be talking to yourself. That can work, but not really. And if you just sit there, all the stress out, all the anxiety, all the bad stuff, all the bad gunk in your body, it will build up. And even if it started from the size of a penny, it'll become the size of the Empire State Building. By doing nothing except for if you just let it rot in there, it will become something bigger than it is. And we don't want that, do we? Okay. So it will help you manage stress by just letting it out. If you can't talk to someone, you can just write it down. Taking that anxiety, that stress, putting it into a paper. You can even wrap up and recycle that paper afterwards if you want it to be if you really want it to go away. But I would not recommend doing that, because what I do is I just write down my thoughts, my feelings, and then I leave it in that notebook, that journal, that diary if you want to call it, and I can just read over it whenever I want, and it kind of makes me think about what's happened to me in the past. It can help me spawn new ideas. So yeah, and journaling can make you think. You can be writing and journaling, and then you come across a question. Some might call this shower thoughts. You might end up finding a hidden shower thought in your writing. It's a question that just doesn't make sense. So it's a thought that makes sense, but also doesn't make sense. And it makes you think, and it makes you wonder, and it makes you try to figure out what's going on. And it just makes you think, and it's fun, and it helps build neurons, and it helps just do incredible things to your brain and your mind, and just incredible things to you in general. And finally, the final why is it can help build relationships. If you are writing about a relationship, you're journaling about a relationship, and you read back, and there's something wrong about this relationship, you might be able to figure out what that thing is. And it can also just help express things. Maybe you feel really tight, you feel really tense, you have a lot of stress. If you write down that stress, you let go of that stress by journaling, your relationships with other people are going to be better. So yeah. Now let's move on to the how. How do you journal? So first off, there's prompts. And there can be different prompts. So here are all the prompts that I came up with. And really, you can really do any type of, there's two types of prompts. There's the individual prompts, and there's journal prompts. Here are the journal prompts that I'll talk about. We'll talk about thoughts. You can make it a thought journal. All you do in this journal is write down your thoughts. Whatever you're thinking in the moment, that's what you write down. Simple as that. Now, your journal can be a recap of a moment, a specific moment, or maybe even a specific day or a week or even a month, a certain period of time, journal it, write it down, explain it. Imagine it's a book. I don't know if y'all have, if you're a kid and you're listening to this, you've probably read Diary of a Kid. I would recommend it to anyone. It's just because it teaches you about journaling. It's a fake journal from a character who has a lot of tough things in his life. And yes, it's very silly and it's very fun. It's a fun read, but it's a journal. It's a journal. That's what it is. It's a diary. It's an example. And it really helps you go from just, my day was good, this happened, to going into those fine moments, and it can just be fun. So, go ahead and read that book, Diary of a Kid. It's amazing, and yeah. You can also talk about feelings. You can have your journal could be dedicated to feelings. What are these feelings, these emotions you're having? Like, for example, maybe, every page could be like a specific feeling. If you're feeling something, you could write down that feeling, and then talk about and then explain that. Or you could just kind of write about what you're feeling, how you're feeling. How do you feel? That's really just, if you're going to do this, just ask yourself the question, how do you feel and why do you feel that way? And then finally, there's ideas. You can make an idea book. Anytime you have an idea, you write it down, you journal it. It helps you. If you have lots of ideas stuck in your head, you will not be able to get any more new ideas. If you have an idea stuck in your head or 2 ideas stuck in your head, you will not be able to have any new ideas. No matter what, if it's a video, a script, a book, or a product or anything, even if you just write down the simplest thing about it or start it, now new ideas can come in. It's hard to have multiple ideas at once without forgetting old ideas. So yeah, and then there's also prompts. There's a prompt journal. One journal I have is called 300 Writing Prompts, and there's also a story of my life, which I think actually, let's talk about 300 writing prompts. And it can be a journal, but it's just a fun little thing. And so for every page is split into 2 sections, and each section has a prompt. So I'll read you one. Write about a conversation you overheard. What modern technological device takes up most of your time? Write about something that made you feel proud. Or I'll find one that I have done. Give your city or town or region a new name that reflects what type of place it is, and explain why you chose that name. And these prompt books can be really nice and really good, and they help me a lot, and I like to write in them. And you can just buy one super cheap, really easy, and yeah, cool. Now, finally, let's talk about when people come to me and they're like, how do you start journaling? How do you journal? Well, a lot of people ask, should I do a weekly journal? Should I do a monthly journal? Should I do a daily journal? Should I do an hourly journal? You can do any of those things. You can do daily, weekly, hourly, monthly, even a yearly journal. I actually saw someone that did a decade journal. Every decade, they would write about the decade and the best parts about the decade. I've seen people doing that for years and years at a time. And decades and decades at a time. There's also people that are doing yearly journals that are every year they write down about their year, the best parts of the year, because those moments, they're just good to write down those moments. But really what I say is you can do it any time period you want, or just whenever. For me, that's what I do. Whenever I just feel like I don't have anything to do, or I just maybe want to journal, I grab my journal, or any one of my journals. I have multiple journals for different things, and I just write. I just journal, and this is kind of what makes me feel good. It kind of helps elevate my mood, helps elevate myself, my inner soul, my inner spirit, if that's the right word. And yeah, and you don't have to have a notebook or a super fancy notebook or super fancy pen. You can, if you have a phone, you can do that. If you have like an iPad, I use an iPad and an Apple Pencil sometimes. I really use it as like an idea journal for like whenever I have an idea, I just open a quick note on my iPad and I just start using my Apple Pencil to just, instead of typing, just scribbling all the words down and just kind of getting everything onto the page. Just like a vomit of words, of ideas. This is the stuff that makes me feel good. It's hard to explain. But I think we should give it a go. So here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to suggest to you. If you want to get into the journaling, if this sounds good for you, which it hopefully does, even if it doesn't, like it just sounds like I don't really want to do it, but I see the benefits of it. But it might be not fun. It's probably going to be boring. No matter what, I say do a 1-month experiment. Choose either daily, weekly, or whenever, and stick to that. I would recommend whenever. You can also do daily or weekly, whatever you want, however you want. Start journaling, and just for a week, maybe even a month, journal. Just journal, write, and put your thoughts on the page. I've seen people doing a drawing journal. Sorry, I'm sick. Like I told you, I'm sick. Take like a sketchbook, and every page, every time you would usually do a diary entry or a journal entry. Instead of writing down, draw a picture about maybe your situation right now, or whatever situation you're in, or just draw a picture that explains your emotions. You can do that if writing feels too hard. But really, there's so many options for this, and I think journaling can be amazing. And I think it's way better to call it journaling than, like, I think if I was given the option to choose between having a journal or a diary, pretty much the same thing, I would choose a journal. A journal sounds more appealing. A diary sounds, honestly, and I hate that it sounds this way, but this is just the way that society has come to, like a little thing that's supposed to be cute and just fuzzy and like, no. A journal sounds more professional, mature, and simple, and yeah. So I would choose a journal. So that's why I'm calling this a journal, not a diary. So if you're going to the store trying to find like a journal, don't buy one that says diary on the front. Buy one that says journal, or doesn't say anything. It says notebook or something. The best ones I feel like are the ones that have like a little spot on the front cover where we can like write in something. So I would put journal of, and then your name. It doesn't have to have a lock. I feel like if it has like one of those that has like a lock on it, just makes it feel more like a diary, which can make you feel like it has to. It's a psychological thing. When you have that lock on it, then it makes you feel like it's a diary, and a diary just is less appealing and makes it feel more childish and just all pink and fluffy and cute and super. No, it's a journal. It's not. It's mature. It's there's something that's fun. So don't get a lock. If you want to keep it in somewhere safe, hidden away, that's good. Yeah, just chill, relax, do whatever you want. I don't care. But if you're not journaling, I recommend it. And yeah, I did a daily journal for probably 3 months, and it turned out to be very interesting, but not the best thing in the world. I prefer to do what I'm doing now, which is just a whenever journal. Whenever I want, I journal. I have my 300 writing prompts book, and I have my story of my life book, and I have lots of different notebooks that just help me journal. So I would recommend all this. And speaking of, I did just come out with my new notebook, which is a really nice notebook that has lots of cool prompts in it. And it's so fun. I use it. It's not that big, but it's like a big size, but it doesn't have a lot of pages, so it's easier to feel accomplished. And honestly, it's a beginner journal, because if you get this notebook and you start journaling with it, you'll fill it up quickly, and then you'll have this sense of accomplishment, but you'll also have this sense of, oh, I want more. So you'll actually spring for that bigger, larger journal that's like way many more pages that takes longer to fill out. It's just a good first step if you're wanting to get into the journaling world and just start journaling, or if you want to call it a diary, you can. So yeah, link in the show notes for this episode. It is called the HJ Notebook. It's kind of my first piece of merch, other than my fashion, but my little fashion house. But you really can't buy that; it's a very limited edition. And my other books. But really, this is just a very simple thing, and I would recommend really just getting this book. It's if you could get it, it would mean a lot to me. And yeah, cool. Link in the show notes. Like I said, make sure to follow this podcast, support me. If you have any questions, all my information is in the description. So yeah, cool. Thank you for listening. Thank you for engaging. If you are engaging, if you just have it on in the background and you're just like focusing on something else, that's okay. But just thank you to everyone that's listening to this today. Just want to thank you. So yeah, okay, cool. Peace out. I wish you good luck in your journaling diary life for the future.